I'm going to shoot a little shop update here. I know it's been probably a couple of months since I posted it last one, but just kind of bear with me. I've been really kind of busy and doing some things and making hauls and doing other things. So let me just get into it right away, and I'll show you a couple of things, and then I'll come back and explain some other things in a little while. Just shooting a little video here. That's a new tank in the back of my truck, and I'll explain it to you here in a moment. Just a quick video. You know that if you watched my channel before, you know that I had an auxiliary fuel tank in the back of my truck. Got it from Tractor Supply, holds 100 gallons. This is a new one, black, and I'll explain black in a minute. But the other one is leaking, and it's leaking from the bottom someplace. I'm not really sure what it is, but what I did is went out, got a new one. Price increased probably 40% over when I had bought the other one 2 years ago. But anyways, regardless of the point, 100-gallon fuel tank going in the back of my truck. I've got a bung, or I used to call them weldolets. It's a half-inch weldolet. Well, it's actually 3/4-inch weldolet, 3/4-inch pipe thread to a weldolet fitting that's going to be welded to the side of the tank, and then it's half-inch that I've got in the truck, but all they had was a 3/4-inch outlet for it, so I've got to bush it down. Again, 100-gallon auxiliary fuel tank going in the back of the truck to replace the one that's leaking. I'm pretty sure I didn't show this to you, but anyways, this is a auxiliary fuel tank that goes in the back of my truck. Now, it's not the tank that is in my truck now. That tank is leaking, so I went out and bought a new one. It's leaking from somewhere on the bottom, so I don't really know where it's leaking from. My first thought is that it's probably a weld where they welded the brackets on that hold the tank down to the bed of the truck. Probably there was a stress fracture at the weld, but the point is I didn't want to have to pull the tank off. First of all, I had to get as much fuel out of it as I could, but I didn't want to pull the tank off and get into a spot where I couldn't fix the tank. So I wanted to make sure that I could get a new tank to begin with. I had originally bought the tank at Tractor Supply, and this tank came from Tractor Supply. Now, this tank was black, but I'll explain that in a minute. 2 years ago, I bought the original tank, and it was just a tad over $400. I just bought this tank last week, and it was a tad over $700. Same tank, same exact tank. But anyways, what it was is the one in my truck now, the one that's leaking, is white. I had left it white. I had planned on maybe painting it the color of the truck, but never got around to it, and it gets so beat up being in the back of the truck, it would have been pointless to go out and spend the money to try and match the color of the truck with it, because it would have looked like heck to begin with within a month or so from getting beat up. So what I did was, again, as I said, this tank was black. I didn't want to leave it black because of the expansion from being in the sun, in the hot sun. I didn't want it expanding the fuel inside of it and creating a problem with the tank. So I painted it gray. Now, there lies the second problem. I went to the paint stores, and what I used to pay for rattle can spray paint is more than tripled in price. And so I wanted it to be gray this time instead of being pure white. I wanted it to be gray so that it more kind of matched the silver color of the truck. Some people look at my truck and say, oh, it's an off-white. It's not really off-white, it's silver. But I never get silver paint. I couldn't even find gray paint. All I found was white paint in a gallon. This is at like from Tractor Supply, that type of industrial machine type paint. All they had was like in gallon cans, all they had was like gloss black, white, green, yellow, red, no gray. So what I did is bought a gallon can of white and then got a small can of black and made gray myself. But anyways, here it is. Now what I've also did, the original tank, the bolts that hold it down just went through the bed of the tank. What it did is ripped a big hole in the bed of my tank. Holes, I should say, where those bolts went down through. So what I did is went out and got a sheet of 3/16 inch plate steel, and what I'm going to do is put that down in the bed of the tank and bolt the tank to that down through the bed of the truck also. But the plate steel should keep it from ripping out the sheet metal of the floor of the bed of the truck like it did before. I've got them big holes in. I'm just laying the plate steel over those holes, and then going to put this down through, and then afterwards I'm going to go down underneath the truck and put some kind of a plate down below it to hold it in the bed of the truck. So the tank is going to be bolted to this, and then I will also bolt this plate to the bed of the truck where the integrity of the bed of the truck hasn't been jeopardized by the original bolt patterns. It'll come in about 8 inches on both sides for those bolts. So at some place on the outside of it, what I'll do is just bolt this down to the bed of the truck also. But that plate will keep the tank from ripping holes in the sheet metal floor of the bed of the truck. But anyways, I just thought I'd show that to you. I'll show it to you after I get it reinstalled. I had to weld a bung on it. That's another story. I welded that weld-a-let onto the side of the tank. That's going to be the supply port for the fuel going into the solenoid valve, which in turn feeds into the fill neck of the existing tank. Just a couple of things in this short video. I was able to pull the tank off of the truck. I had to pull the gantry crane out and use that to pull the tank off of the truck, that existing tank. And what it turned out to be, it's a weld exactly like I kind of thought it was going to be. It's a weld that is leaking on one of the brackets, the hold down brackets for that. I'm going to shut you off, bring you back here in a second. That's a plate that's going to go and support the tank under, it's going to go on the bed of the truck and support that tank through that. That's at 3/16. I just had it over here and pulled out the mag drill because I'm going to be using it for those box supports. But anyways, I pulled out the mag drill, drilled the holes, and we'll get to that. I've got to clean that truck out and stuff like that, take a power washer and clean it out, but I'll bring you back. So just a quick shot. Again, there is that tank that's finished and installed in the truck. On to something else now. I'm just going to shoot this brief video to show you something. One of the automakers, and I'm not sure how many of them do this, but Ford had the ingenious idea of coating some of their lug nuts with a chromed coating. It's actually like a tin coating that they put over the top of it. It's actually like a cover that goes over the lug nut. Problem is when you take an impact wrench and try and take those things off, this happens, and it happens all the time. People have to sometimes take a little hammer and chisel and peel that tin coating off of the lug nut so that they can get their impact sockets onto it without having it stick like this is. This is off of a Ford Expedition, Eddie Bauer Expedition, and my grandson had to change the rear axle hub, and when he went to put these lug nuts back on, this happened. Tried to beat it off with a hammer after he got it on tight, but he couldn't get it off. Actually had to take the lug nut off, and he's buying more lug nuts, but we've probably been working on trying to get this lug nut out of here for probably a good half hour. And I've got it started out, but it's hard. You know, somebody would say heat this up, but if you heat it up, you could destroy the tempering on that impact socket. But just a stupid engineering design. You know, companies aren't what they used to be. Of course, you always had stupid engineering designs, but management was usually smart enough to say, well, that's not going to work. Or if like mechanics came back and said, this is what happens, or we can't get to this, they change it. They don't do that anymore. Roll it out the door. If they get stuck, well, they'll buy more of them. You know, I shot that original thing on that lug nut, and I never showed it to you after I got it out. That was probably 2 months ago, maybe. Here it is, and here's what I'm talking about, that tin coating that they put around it. You can see it is all smashed over. What we ended up having to do is take one of the wheel studs out. Forget what we were doing now. Maybe changing the bearing assembly, which wasn't actually a bearing. It's encased in a unit that you have to buy the entire unit. This was the rear of the vehicle, Expedition, Eddie Bauer Expedition. But anyways, so it didn't matter whether we got that stud out because we had to get new ones anyways to put in. We got lug nuts at Napa, chrome lug nuts, that don't have that tin coating on, and they really weren't that expensive. But if you have a vehicle with these things on, you might want to think about replacing them, because if you get stuck out on the road someplace and have to change a flat tire, you might be in for an adventure of a lifetime with these things. Got a couple of boxes in the shop. They're not mine. Guy next door, electrical contractor, is putting them on his truck, and he's going to bring his truck into my shop, and I'm going to give him a hand getting them onto the truck. Just going to mention one other thing. These boxes that he put on, he had 2 of the trucks. Actually hauled these trucks down to the place that was supposed to put the boxes on and fabricate the shelving and stuff inside. It went months and months and months when they had these trucks, and he couldn't get them back. And then they kept putting them off. I was supposed to go down with them, kept putting them off. 4 times they put them off. We had planned on going down 4 different times and picking the trucks up, and they kept putting them off. And I finally told them, I says, this is ridiculous. For as long as they've had them and everything that's going through, that you should deliver them back to you. And that's what they did, but they weren't right. They didn't complete the shelving in the inside, and these boxes were supposed to be included on the truck, and they were never included. And these boxes are very expensive boxes. Now, they have those latch assemblies on them, like the doors on the back of a semi-trailer. Very good boxes. Um, Iconic or something icon. Um, but you can look them up. They're very good boxes, very expensive boxes. And he's fighting these people right now about because they had paid the thing in full, and he never got these boxes on the trucks. And now he's ended up having to fight them to get the money back for these boxes that he had paid for and never got. So the Corvette Z06, what I want to show you is, as you probably know, or some probably know that follow my channel, there's a detail shop a couple of doors right down from me. Pretty good friends with the guy, but he has some girls that help him detail cars. Usually interior work. They do a lot of the interior work. They don't do paint corrections or ceramic coatings, but they do a lot of the interior detail work and cleaning the car and prep for the other things. One of the things with a Corvette is because of the way it is extremely hard to get down into the windshield, especially over on the driver's side, to clean the inside of the windshield. So I was going to have one of the girls that work for him actually detail the inside again, clean the windshield, and just kind of clean the spots that I can't really get to. It's really a pain to sit in this car and try and get down into it. So one of the things that I was thinking about is taking a stick and using a rag on the end of the stick to clean it. And my grandson came up with this and gave it to me for my birthday. It's got a microfiber pad on it, and you can use it to get down. Now I just did it, and I'm not going to show it to you again. I'm not going to streak the window back up again by using it. But I spray the inside of the windshield and then spray some window cleaner on this and go through in detail, clean it off real good. And then what I do is take another microfiber towel and drape over the outside of it so that I can dry it and take the streaks off from the cleaning process. But I kind of just thought I'd show that to you as a little point of contention and a tip if in case somebody has that issue too. Guy brought me these brackets and he asked me if I could make 4 of them, but instead of being like a 1/2 inch high here, he needed them 2 inches high and out of stainless steel. He wants them out of stainless steel. I guess they're some kind of a bracket for light fixtures on a truck. I'm not really sure what it is, but what I did is I got some strips of stainless steel, which was kind of annoying in itself because of the issues with getting stuff nowadays. But anyways, I had to make a haul for the metal supermarkets, so when I was down there picking up the stuff that I had to haul, I just picked up the stainless steel strips. And here is basically one of the strips that I got. And here is one of the brackets that I pre-bent. Whoa. Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully, I'm going to have to spread that out so that these things are at an angle. Probably from my reaction, it's the first time that I put it up against the other bracket. I'm not sure if it has to be the same length. I'm not sure. What I'm going to do is just go down on Monday. This is Sunday. I'll go down on Monday and find out exactly how he's using them to see if they have to be he said drill these 2 outside holes, but don't drill any of the inside holes. Well, let me see if I have to bend these out at an angle instead of at a 90-degree angle, but at a lesser degree angle, so that the bracket size is the same length. Let me go, I'll go out down on Monday and find out. Kind of a good thing that I did this little video before I did the rest of them, but it wouldn't be an issue. It's just a matter of bending it back out, probably putting these at a little more of an angle if I do that. One of the things is I kind of learned from working with sheet metal guys or tin knockers on construction jobs about how to bend metal. Not so much as to bend it as the process of figuring out which bends to make first. It would have been hard to make these outside bends. What I did is made the outside bends first, and then made the inside bends, because you would have been working with trying to get a bend on, if I'd done these last, trying to get a bend on it with the pre-existing bends into it already would have been kind of hard. So you kind of got to figure out which bends you're going to make first. This is an exhaust manifold off of an 8.3 Cummins a C model, the old P-pumped model of Cummins. As you all know, that I kind of haul stuff and watch Brian Block all the time. Brian actually, via one of his emails where he bought one of these, turned me on to this thing to get a new exhaust manifold for the 8.3 for the haul truck. I just thought I'd show it to you. You know, he kind of mentioned how much he paid for it in the video, and I actually had to pay more for it, like I don't recall right now, $50, $75 more than he paid for it because of Biden? Go figure. Anyways, I'm going to show you a couple of things that are going on in the shop. I'm not going to do a voice on it, and what I'm going to do is put some clips of some stuff that I've hauled recently up in and just do a voiceover on it. Okay, the reason why I'm out here to the trailer is twofold. This is a 30-liter 16-cylinder Caterpillar generator that I had to haul from Louisville, Kentucky up to New York. But the reason why I kind of showed you the trailer is I was replacing the tire on it. This is a 300 kilowatt generator that I had to haul out of Ohio, and this is a lathe that I had to pick up in Ithaca, New York and take down to Keith Rucker. And these are cooling fins off of a large transformer that I had to pick up in Niagara Falls and take over to Ohio. And the reason why I'm throwing this tire shot in there is I had to replace one of the tires on the Corvette, run flat tire. And this is a transformer, which is hard to see, and some high voltage switchgear that I had to pick up again in Niagara Falls and take to Ohio. Anyways, that's going to do it for this video, guys. The reason why I'm kind of hauling all of this electrical stuff, generators and transformer switchgear, is because people are having issues buying new equipment. Now, I'm talking about industrial generators and high voltage switchgear. Anywhere from 18 months to 2.5 years out for new stuff. But again, thanks for watching, guys. Hit that like button, subscribe. Sorry that I haven't updated a video in quite a while, but I've been busy.